Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Deep Dive. I want you to picture the scene for a second. It's 2026.
Right.
You've had a really long week. You're feeling run down, so you walk into a pharmacy, or maybe you just open up one of those wellness apps on your phone.
Which are everywhere now.
Literally everywhere. And you're just looking for something simple, maybe some vitamin D because you haven't seen the sun in days, or, something to help you sleep. But what actually greets you isn't simple at all. It is absolute sensory overload.
Oh, it's a jungle out there. I mean, quite literally, it is wild.
It is so overwhelming.
Sure.
You've got shelves stacked, floor to ceiling, neon labels promising miracle cures, and instant brain optimization.
Right. And the influencers live streaming their proprietary blends right in the aisle.
Exactly. And somewhere, buried under all that noise,
Yeah.
is actual science just gasping for air. Whether you are a consumer just trying not to waste your money, or even a brand trying to launch a product, the volume of choices, well, it's paralyzing.
It is paralysis by analysis. But the stakes are surprisingly high here. We aren't just talking about wasting $40 on sugar pills.
Right.
We are talking about bioactive compounds. These things interact with your body chemistry, your liver, your other medications, and obviously your long-term health metrics.
That is the reality check I think a lot of us need.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why I am genuinely excited about the document we're breaking down today.
Yeah, it's a great one.
We got our hands on a text titled Optimal Supplements, a practical guide to evidence-based nutritional support. It was published by Ingredientsage on February 24th, 2026.
And this is a really fascinating source because, strictly speaking, it wasn't written for you or me standing in the supplement aisle.
No?
It's a guide for manufacturers, specifically private label brands and contract manufacturers.
Right.
It is essentially the playbook on how to make supplements that actually work.
Which is why I love it so much. It feels like stealing the chef's secret recipe book to see if they're actually using fresh truffles or just, cheap truffle oil.
That's a great analogy.
So the mission of our deep dive today is to take this industry-level manual and flip it. We want to use it as an insider's cheat sheet. It reveals exactly what should be in the bottle, how you spot quality, and the specific dosing that science actually supports.
Versus what the marketing department wants to sell you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to do that, we really just have to follow the structure of the guide itself, which organizes responsible supplementation into two massive pillars.
Right. Assessment meaning who actually needs this stuff in the first place. And quality control meaning, is the white powder in that capsule actually what the label claims it is?
Let's start with that second pillar because it really feels like the foundation for everything else. So the inside baseball of quality and safety.
Yeah.
The source makes a huge deal about transparency. And I want to be clear, they don't mean it in a we posted a nice photo of a green farm on Instagram kind of way.
No, that is pure marketing fluff.
Yeah.
In this context, transparency is a literal defense mechanism. The source explicitly states that for a brand to be trustworthy in the regulatory landscape of 2026, transparency is the first line of defense against variability, contamination, and mislabeling.
So if I'm a supplement manufacturer, I can't just trust the giant barrel of powder that showed up at my loading dock from some overseas supplier.
Absolutely not. And if you're a consumer, you shouldn't trust a brand that does that either.
Wow.
The guide emphasizes that a reputable partner has to provide batch-level QA data. They need validated assays for potency, and they need spectral analyses.
Hold on, let's unpack that for a second because spectral analysis sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. What are they actually looking for with that?
Think of it like a chemical fingerprint or, a DNA test for powders.
Okay.
A spectral analysis blasts the sample with light to see exactly how it interacts. It proves chemically that the substance in that barrel is exactly the molecule it claims to be.
Right.
And crucially, that nothing else is tagging along. No heavy metals, no pesticides, no undeclared fillers.
It's wild that we even have to ask for that. You just assume if you buy vitamin C, it's vitamin C.
You would think so.
But clearly that's naive. Now, for us regular folks walking down aisle 4, we can't exactly ask the store clerk to run a spectral analysis on a bottle of gummies.
No, they'd look at you like you were crazy.
Right. But the source points out some shortcuts, specific certifications that we should be hunting for on the label.
Yes, and this is probably the most actionable part of the safety section. You want to look for third-party verifications. The source highlights 3 big ones.
Okay, what are they?
USP verified, NSF certified for sport, and informed choice.
I see those logos sometimes. I honestly always just thought they were paid endorsements. Or just graphic design choices to make the bottle look official? Are you saying they actually have teeth?
They're the only things with teeth in this entire industry.
Really?
Yeah, these aren't marketing stickers. These endorsements reflect independent, often surprise, testing.
Well, surprise testing. That's
Yeah.
good.
Right. They verify identity. So, is it actually vitamin C or is it just sawdust?
Oh, right.
They verify potency. Is there actually 500 milligrams in there or just 5 milligrams? And arguably the most important part, they verify a lack of contaminants,
Which is huge.
especially NSF certified for sport. That one is incredibly rigorous because it tests for banned substances that could literally ruin a professional athlete's career.
So if I pick up a bottle and it doesn't have one of those specific stamps, is it just garbage?
Not necessarily garbage, but it is a gamble. You are essentially taking the company's marketing department's word for it.
Which we just established is a bad idea.
Exactly. The source also touches on the regulatory landscape shifting between 2023 and 2026. It mentions the new dietary ingredient, or NDI guidance.
Right, I saw that.
The FDA has really tightened the screws on what counts as a new ingredient, and they're requiring much more robust safety data now.
So the Wild West days of the supplement industry are slowly coming to an end.
Slowly. Very slowly. But the main takeaway here is pretty stark. The very first step isn't checking the nutrient. It's checking the integrity of the maker. Because if they can't prove stability and purity, the dose on the label is completely irrelevant.
Okay, so let's assume we've done our homework.
Mm-hmm.
We found a bottle with the NSF stamp. It's not filled with sawdust. Now we need to know what to actually take.
The fun part.
Right. The source breaks down what I'm calling the big three. These are the heavy hitters. Vitamin D, omega-3s, and magnesium.
These are 3 of the most commonly sold supplements globally, and yet, according to the data in this text, they are so often used incorrectly. Or they're sold in forms that the human body can't even use.
Let's start with vitamin D. The source calls it the intersection of bone health and immune function. And I feel like everyone and their mother is taking vitamin D these days.
They probably are. But are they taking the right amount?
Probably not.
Vitamin D is critical for calcium homeostasis, which is just a fancy biological way of saying it keeps your calcium levels balanced so your bones don't get brittle. And it's huge for immune modulation. But here is where the guide pivots. It heavily emphasizes individualized assessment.
Meaning more is not always better.
Exactly, meaning targeted is better. For healthy adults, the source suggests a maintenance range of just 1,000 to 2,000 IU daily.
See, that's wild to me because I've seen pills with 5,000 or even 10,000 IU, and people just pop those like candy the second flu season starts.
And those high doses definitely have their place, but usually that's for correcting a confirmed clinical deficiency.
Oh, okay.
The target is what actually matters. You aren't taking pills just to swallow pills. You are trying to reach a specific serum level, the amount in your blood of 25 hydroxyvitamin D.
And what's the magic number there?
Between 30 and 50 nanograms per milliliter.
Which implies you can't just guess based on how you feel. You actually have to get a blood test.
Precisely. If you're sitting at 20 nanograms per milliliter, that 1,000 IU pill might not move the needle fast enough. But if you're already at 60, you absolutely do not need to be propping 5,000 IU every morning.
That makes total sense.
And there's a safety catch here, too, that I found really crucial. The source specifically warns about interactions with medications.
Which ones?
Corticosteroids.
Oh, steroids, like the kind you'd take for severe inflammation or asthma?
Exactly. If you're on prednisone or similar steroids, they can actually impair your body's vitamin D metabolism.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, your needs might change drastically, so you have to monitor that closely. It stops being a nice-to-have vitamin routine and becomes a medical necessity to check those levels.
Okay, let's move on to number 2 of the big 3, omega-3s. Good old fish oil. The source mentions this is primarily for cardiovascular risk reduction and neuroprotection, so protecting your heart and your brain.
The evidence here is incredibly robust, particularly for heart health. But the source makes a very important distinction regarding the dosage.
Okay.
For general health maintenance, the range is 250 to 1,000 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA daily.
See, that seems lower than I expected. I feel like the standard gym bro advice is way higher, like take a whole handful of these huge capsules.
Yeah, you're thinking of therapeutic doses. The source notes that for specific medical conditions, like trying to aggressively lower high triglycerides, the dose does jump up to 2 to 4 grams per day.
That's a lot of fish oil.
It is, but, and this is a massive asterisk in the text, that requires medical supervision.
Why? Is taking too much actually dangerous?
It can be. High doses of fish oil can thin your blood.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you do not want to just casually start taking 4 grams of fish oil without your doctor knowing, especially if you're on any other medications or blood thinners.
Right. And speaking of fish oil, the source brings up something I found, frankly, pretty gross, but super important. The rotten fish factor.
Ah, yes. Oxidation control.
Yeah.
This is vital, and it's something almost every consumer completely ignores. Fish oil is a polyunsaturated fat. Chemically speaking, it is very unstable. It loves to react with oxygen.
And when it reacts.
If it oxidizes, it goes rancid. It spoils.
But it's locked in a little gel capsule, so you can't exactly smell it right away when you open the bottle.
Exactly. And if you swallow oxidized oil, it's not just that it's ineffective. It can actually be pro-inflammatory.
So wait, you're taking it specifically to stop inflammation in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's rancid, it's actually causing more inflammation.
It's a very cruel irony.
That is awful.
It is. That's why this source insists that quality brands must test for peroxide value and anisidine value.
And those are just markers of freshness.
Exactly. They are chemical markers that prove the oil isn't spoiled. If a brand doesn't share those numbers, or if they don't include antioxidants like vitamin E right inside the oil to preserve it, you might literally be swallowing spoiled fat.
That is disgusting. Note to self, check the anisidine value.
Highly recommended.
And what about the ratio? The guide mentions EPA and DHA.
Generally, a 1:1 to 2:1 ratio of EPA to DHA is what's used for inflammation. EPA tends to be more anti-inflammatory, while DHA is more structural for brain health.
Got it.
But again, the freshness matters way more than the perfect ratio if the oil is already spoiled.
Fair point. Okay, let's talk about the third big one, magnesium.
Yes.
This was a total aha moment for me when I was reading the source. I always just thought magnesium was magnesium, an element on the periodic table.
Yeah.
But apparently, the form of it matters a ton.
It matters immensely. Magnesium is never found just floating around alone in nature. It is always attached to something else.
Right.
And what it is attached to completely determines where it goes in your body. The source specifically points out that magnesium oxide is often the least desirable form.
Which is so annoying because if you go to a standard grocery store, magnesium oxide is usually the cheapest one right there at eye level on the shelf.
Exactly. It's incredibly cheap to manufacture, and the molecule is physically small, so they can cram a lot of it into one tiny pill.
Right.
But it has terrible bioavailability. Your body really struggles to break that oxide bond and absorb the magnesium.
So where does it go?
Well, it just stays in your intestine. It draws a bunch of water in, and
So it's basically just a laxative.
basically, if you're taking it to help you sleep or for muscle recovery after a workout and it's just giving you diarrhea, it is definitely not doing its job.
That is so frustrating. So what is the good stuff? What words should we actually be looking for on the back of the bottle?
The source prefers magnesium citrate, glycinate, and malate.
Okay.
Glycinate is particularly popular if you're looking for sleep and relaxation because glycine itself is a calming amino acid.
Nice.
And malate is often used more for energy production and muscle pain. These forms are just much better absorbed and way gentler on your digestive tract.
And what's the proper dosing here?
Typically, 200 to 400 milligrams of elemental magnesium daily.
Okay.
But here is the major danger zone. Magnesium is chemically very active. It loves to bind to other things. It's a process called chelation.
Bind to what exactly? Like food?
Medications, specifically antibiotics.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the source highlights that magnesium can severely interfere with tetracyclines and fluoroquinolones.
Which are super common antibiotics.
Very common. If you take them together, the magnesium binds to the drug right in your stomach and prevents it from ever getting into your bloodstream.
So your antibiotic just doesn't work.
Right. It can also mess with bisphosphonates, which are used for bone density.
So the golden rule here is do not wash down your antibiotics with your magnesium drink.
Correct. Timing is everything. You usually need to space them out by at least 2 to 4 hours.
All right. That is incredibly practical. Let's move into segment 3. We've covered the basics. Now let's look at what the source calls niche nutrients and special populations.
Let's do it.
We're going to get B12, iron, and probiotics. Let's start with B12.
B12 is fascinating because it represents a very critical gap for specific groups, mostly older adults and vegans.
Because it comes from meat, right.
Mostly, yes. So if you don't eat meat, you aren't getting it from your diet. And for older adults, our absorption simply declines with age because our stomach acid gets weaker.
Now, the source mentions 2 different types on the label, methylcobalamin and cyanocobalamin. And I have to say, one of those sounds an awful lot like cyanide.
Well, you're not wrong. Cyanocobalamin actually does contain a tiny, completely harmless molecule of cyanide.
Harmless.
Yes, our bodies can easily clear it. That's just how the molecule is stabilized for the shelf. It's the most common and cheapest form.
Okay.
But the source notes that a lot of clinicians prefer methylcobalamin. It is the active form that's actually found in nature, and it potentially offers much better central nervous system uptake for some patients.
Okay, that's a good tip.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about iron. This is one where I feel like people just pop pills blindly because they feel tired and they end up feeling terrible.
Iron is super tricky. It is notoriously hard on the stomach. The standard dosing is usually 8 to 18 milligrams daily for maintenance.
Right.
But the source gives a really cool chemistry hack here for iron.
Yes, I love this part. If you want to actually absorb the iron, you need an acidic environment in your gut. So you essentially chase your iron pill with orange juice. Yeah.
Spot on. The source suggests taking iron with vitamin C ascorbic acid. It literally converts the iron into a form that is much easier for your body's transporters to grab onto.
And conversely, what totally kills the absorption?
Calcium.
Calcium.
Yes. Calcium and iron fight for the exact same transporters in your gut.
So they just block each other.
Exactly. So do not take your iron pill with a glass of milk or at the same time as your calcium supplement. You are essentially canceling both of them out.
That has to be such a classic mistake.
It happens all the time.
Right, let's talk about bugs.
Yeah.
Probiotics. The marketing on these boxes is usually just screaming billions of live cultures. But the source says the raw number isn't the only thing that matters.
Not at all. Efficacy is highly, highly strain-specific. You cannot just take any random beneficial bacteria and expect it to magically fix a specific gut issue.
Like keys and locks.
Exactly like keys and locks. If you have IBS, you need a specific strain of bacteria that has been clinically studied to help with IBS. If you have immunity issues, you need a completely different strain.
But the numbers they cite are huge, though.
Oh, massive. The source cites doses ranging from 1 billion, that's 10, to the power of 9, all the way up to 100 billion CFU per day.
But here is the kicker from the text. Storage and viability.
Yes.
Because if it's dead, it doesn't work.
Exactly. Viability through the entire shelf life is the main manufacturing challenge.
Right.
If the bacteria die in a hot warehouse somewhere or on the store shelf because the packaging wasn't moisture tight, you are literally just swallowing expensive dust.
Gross.
The guide emphasizes that manufacturers really need to account for die-off. They have to drastically overfill the capsules at the factory so that by the time you reach the expiration date, the CFU count on the label is still accurate.
That's a great sign of a quality brand. Okay, let's do a quick run-through of the special populations the text mentions. The guide flags 3 groups that need to be extra careful. First up, pregnancy.
The focus there is very strict. Folate, iodine, iron, and choline. And the absolute rule is stick to clinical prenatal guidelines.
Right, this is not the time to experiment with some unregulated herbal supplement you saw online.
Definitely not.
Group 2, older adults.
Calcium plus vitamin D is non-negotiable for bone preservation. And as we mentioned earlier, B12, because the stomach just gets less efficient at extracting it from food as we age.
And finally, athletes.
For athletes, the focus should be on recovery and electrolytes. But the source gives a very stern warning here. Be incredibly wary of unverified performance claims.
Right. If a magic powder promises to increase your bench press by 50 pounds in a single week...
It's either a lie or it contains something illegal.
Fair enough. So we've got the quality checks down, we know the nutrients. Now, how do we actually make a decision for ourselves?
Right.
The source outlines an entire decision framework. It's almost a literal checklist for either the consumer or a clinician to run through.
It is a stepwise approach, and I love this because it totally removes the guesswork.
Step 1.
Step 1 is symptom and diet assessment.
Hmm.
Do you actually have a nutritional gap? Or do you just feel like you should be taking something because you saw a TikTok video about it?
Exactly. Don't fix what isn't broken.
Yeah.
If you're eating wild salmon 3 times a week, you probably might not need those giant fish oil pills.
Exactly. Then step 2, medication review. We talked about this with magnesium and antibiotics. Are you on anticoagulants? Antacids. You have to check for interactions.
Step 3.
Lab testing. This goes right back to the vitamin D discussion. Don't guess. Test. Check your ferritin levels to see if you actually need iron. Check your B12 status. You have to establish a baseline.
And the final step.
Monitoring. This is not a set it and forget it kind of thing. You need to retest in 6 to 12 weeks to see if the numbers actually moved. If you've been taking vitamin D every day for 3 months and your blood levels haven't budged an inch, either the product is complete garbage or your body isn't absorbing it properly.
That makes so much sense. It really treats supplementation like a science project, which, honestly, it is.
It absolutely is.
Now, here's where the source gets really interesting.
Yeah.
It looks ahead to 2026 and beyond. What does the future of this crazy aisle look like?
We are rapidly moving toward personalized nutrition. The big buzzword in the text here is nutrigenomics.
Meaning my DNA actually decides my daily vitamins.
Essentially, yes. The source predicts a huge move toward DNA-based personalized nutrition and advanced digital tools.
Wow.
Imagine algorithms that determine your highly specific daily dose based on at-home genetic testing and your recent blood work, rather than just grabbing a one-size-fits-all pill from the grocery store.
It sounds expensive, but incredibly efficient.
It's the ultimate efficiency. And sustainability is huge on this list, too.
Oh, you're right.
Consumers are actively demanding clean labels and responsible sourcing. They want to know that their fish oil isn't destroying delicate ocean ecosystems and that their herbal extracts aren't coated in industrial pesticides.
So it's a massive shift from take this because it's generally good for human beings to take this highly specific amount because your genes and your blood work dictate it.
Exactly. Which really brings us back to the core message of this entire guide.
The key to optimal supplements is moving away from blind consumption and moving toward evidence-based precision.
Precisely. It is about finding the lowest effective dose. It is about checking the label for those third-party verifications we discussed, like USP and NSF. And ultimately, it is about treating your supplements with the exact same seriousness that you would treat a prescription medication.
Because they are bioactive compounds. Just because you don't need a doctor's prescription to buy them doesn't mean they aren't powerfully altering your body.
That's the absolute bottom line.
Before we wrap up today, I want to leave you with a thought from the source that really stuck with me. They mentioned we are moving toward nutrigenomics-informed product development.
It raises a really fascinating question about where the entire industry is headed.
Right. Because in a future where an app or an algorithm dictates your daily vitamins based on your actual DNA and your quarterly blood work,
Yeah.
will the giant generic multivitamin bottle just become a relic of the past? Or will we look back at it as a sign of genuinely bad science like using a sledgehammer when we really needed a scalpel?
It is certainly something to mull over the next time you're standing there, staring at that massive wall of bottles in the pharmacy, wondering which one to grab.
Indeed. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the world of optimal supplements. We hope you feel a little more equipped to navigate the chaos of the supplement aisle.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
See you next time.